It's incredible. I grew up a Star Wars fan. You know, my he's gonna love that I'm talking about this, but my dad loves Star Wars. He is a huge Star Wars fan, so this is like really major for him too. But I grew up watching the original Star Wars with my dad, and
The Young Entertainment Podcast. The Young Entertainment
Well, thank you so
Podcast.
much for joining us. This is the Young Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Daniella, and this is my co host, Mordechai and Benjamin Norris. I talked to you about a year ago. I think it was about a year ago. Thank you so much for joining us. This is so exciting to have you on the podcast.
yeah, thank you for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, okay. And I'm about to just basically read your resume here, which is so freaking awesome. You have incredible credits here, but just to give the audience a little preview, but I'm sure that they know exactly who you are. So Benjamin Norris is an LA-based actor. You probably know him as Trent in Netflix's Never Have I Ever or Tony from NBC Superstore. He recently appeared as Barty in season 2 of Andor and is currently recurring on Abbott Elementary as Simon. He also played a supporting role in the film Adult Best Friends, which premiered at the 2024 Tribeca Film Festival. What a resume, OMG. Let's give our guest a warm welcome.
Woo!
So, yeah, cheers. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, and just for an icebreaker, we have a little segment called Hot Mess Obsessed. And the whole point of it is, you know how we all have those shows that we're just like obsessed over? We're like hooked to it, we're addicted. Maybe it's a movie. It could actually be a book too, if you wanted it to be, although I've never been that girl that's been addicted to reading a book, but who knows? I know it's possible. So if we just want to like go around and just share like what we're obsessed with right now in entertainment that we're watching. Benjamin, if you want to kick it off, go for it.
Sure, yeah. I'm a huge Nathan Fielder fan, so The Rehearsal for me is something that I'm very, very obsessed with. But you know what? I like to think that I have an eclectic taste, so I'm also obsessed with Summer House right now. So,
Oh,
you know,
nice.
I like to hit both sides of the spectrum.
Totally. No, I love it. That's great. It's good. I mean, as an actor too, I mean, it's probably super helpful to just be into all different types of entertainment to I'm sure too,
Oh,
like
absolutely.
when you're watching stuff, do you ever get in the mindset of like you're studying the way somebody is performing or acting, or do you just try to kick back and relax and watch it for entertainment?
No, I think that's one of the special parts of being able to do what you love is I feel like you're kind of always a student as well as a fan and an audience member. And no, I think when I consume any kind of media, I am watching for entertainment purposes. But of course, I love doing this, and I look up to actors and performers and whatnot. And so no, I'm always learning from watching people, even reality TV. I mean, right? Like being an actor is kind of borrowing little intricacies from everyone that you watch, and so I'm always learning
Yeah.
from people that I watch. I love it. I love it.
I love
Yeah.
it. Okay. And then also you just mentioned reality TV, so I have to ask, what reality TV shows do you love?
I'm a Bravo guy. I love
Yeah.
Bravo. I love Real Housewives. I was
Nice.
I was a huge Vanderpump Rules fan. It's kind of
Yes.
transferred over to the Valley a little bit. But also Survivor. My wife and I love watching Survivor. We think it's an incredibly intelligent show, and so yeah, like I said, all ends of the spectrum for me. It's comedy, it's reality, it's drama, it's everything.
Oh yeah, totally. No, I love it. I love some good reality TV too. Okay, Mordecai, what have you been obsessed with lately?
Lately, I've kind of been obsessed with Thunderbolts. Have you seen it yet, Benjamin?
I haven't seen it yet.
I have
No.
not yet, but
Okay.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to dive in and watch.
It's so good. Like the MCU is so back. It's like it's just yeah, they're like revamped the whole thing and it just like I'm ready for like, the next step, whatever it is. So, here we
That's
go,
so
right?
fun. I love it.
Yeah.
The cast is
Um,
the cast is fantastic, so I'm really excited to see it.
Speaking of diving back into like old shows, Mordecai and I were just talking about this the other day. So he is such a big fan of the OC. So I just started watching it. Have you ever watched the OC?
Yeah, I grew up watching it with my sister. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. We have this kind of running joke. So, like, I wasn't allowed to watch it growing up. My mom was like, absolutely not. And then Mordecai actually wasn't either, but he kind of would,
Like snuck it
sneak,
in, yeah.
yeah, which is so funny. So, anyway, I'm, in my 30s and I'm just going back and watching it now because now I can watch what I want. But, so anyway, I'm having like the time of my life because it brings back all the nostalgia of everything like released back then. And it's just, so much fun. So I don't know. I'm having like the time of my life. What
I
rewatching?
love I
Not
love
rewatching, but
I love that you're watching the OC because when I was growing up watching it, I wanted to be Seth Cohen. I wanted to be Seth Cohen. Like my clothes, I was a skater. I was a skater kid back in the day, and he was also he was also in a movie called Grind that I loved growing up. That it's just like just a terrible skateboarding movie, but I loved I loved what he brought to his characters, what he brings to his characters, and it's so endearing and it's so much fun, and I kind of looked up to that when I was younger. So I bought the same exact skate shoes that he had in the OC. Like I loved wearing the clothes that he would wear. So oh man, I loved the OC. Loved the OC.
that's so fun. We actually just did an episode like a couple days ago. We just recorded of only OC things. Like we went on a deep dive and it was so much fun. And I just started watching it. I had the time of my life. So, but yeah, it's such an iconic show. And I'm so sad that I was so late. Oh, also really quick, I have to mention. So Mordecai was telling me that there's like a show on the OC called The Valley that they watch ish, right? And I brought up to Mordecai, do you think, because you mentioned earlier Vanderpump Rules, The Valley, do you think that that was like a clever, like play on words spinoff? Do you think they did that on purpose?
Man, that's a question for Andy Cohen. I don't know. I don't know. I'm so curious about that myself. I mean, I don't know. Once Vanderpump people started moving to the Valley and they all moved to Valley Village specifically, I knew that there was gonna be like Valley in the name of whatever show they came up with next. But I don't know. That would be really cool if it was kind of an ode to that.
Right? Because it's kind of, I feel like
Yeah.
it's playing to the millennials, so maybe they did that on purpose, like knowing,
Yeah.
we can hook them in. But okay, I have
Yeah.
to ask one more question. Do you ever see any of the Vanderpump Rules cast just like walking around LA since you also live in LA?
Once I saw Sheena Shea walking
Fun.
with Brock. I don't know where they were going, but they were going somewhere.
Cute.
I think she's the only person that I've seen that I can remember. I mean, I know she's the only person that I've seen because I would have remembered seeing everything
Yeah, yeah,
else.
yeah. That's so fun. Oh my gosh, I love that show. I'm obsessed. There's a restaurant here in Tahoe called Wolf that Lisa Vanderpump opened here like a
Of
year
course,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's so much fun. Anyway, okay, I could talk about Vanderpump for forever, but let's move on. So we have this fun little thing that we do. Have you heard of like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yeah, of
Do
course.
you know
Yeah,
that concept?
absolutely.
Okay. So what
Yeah.
we like to do on our show is 6 degrees of Zac Efron and see if so like Mordecai has done his own little FBI research and he knows how he can connect you in 6 degrees to Zac Efron. But we want to see what you come up with on the spot of like how you could connect yourself in 6 degrees or less to Zac Efron, which is it's so fun too, because like Kevin Bacon, you think, okay, yeah, probably. But then Zac Efron, like more people are connected in less than 6 degrees that we interview than you think. And it's like so much fun. So if you want to take a stab at it and go for it.
I think I could do it actually. I think I could do it pretty
Okay.
easily actually. Uh,
Yes.
so I used to act for BuzzFeed a lot when they had a BuzzFeed video. And so I used to go in there all the time to be in videos, to be in original shows of theirs. And there's a very, very funny, incredible creator named Chris Reinecker who grew up with Zac Efron, who was friends with Zac Efron. And I was fortunate enough to do a lot of videos with Chris Reinecker, who is still doing his thing today. And he's truly one of the funniest people on the internet. And so I think I got 2 degrees. I think I'm 2 degrees away.
That's
Oh.
that is not how I did it, but that was good. Yeah.
Now I'm so curious. how you did it.
So I do it like based on like the people, like where they're like what they're filming and stuff like that. So like I started with Never Have I Ever with Darren Barnett,
Hmm.
which led to Anyone But You with Glenn Powell, which led me to Top Gun Maverick with Miles Teller, and Miles Teller to That Awkward Moment with Zac Efron. That was like my little thing. But
Wow,
yeah.
that's it's so cool to be kind of like in that string. I love that. That's a great string to be a part of.
Wow,
Yeah,
yeah, pretty
yeah.
epic. But you were only 2 degrees, so we love that. That's so
I was,
fun.
but I mean, I guess as far as work goes, I think Mordecai kind of hit the nail on the head there. I didn't know where the
Yeah.
head was, so you found it.
I love it. Okay, I have to ask too. So we're about to jump into our segment masterclass moments, and but I think that this kind of segues. I just have to jump in and ask. You mentioned doing stuff on BuzzFeed. Can you share a little
Yeah.
bit about like more? Was that something that you did towards the beginning of your acting career? What did that look like? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was so much fun. I'm very close friends with Quinta Brunson, and she, she kind of got her start. She got her start on her own through her videos on the internet. But she started working at BuzzFeed years ago, and she brought me in for one video, and then it kind of just snowballed after that, and other people would start bringing me in, and they had a few scripted series that I was a part of, and it was a really, really cool incubator of talent at that time. They had all of these creators who just kind of had free reign of making videos that resonated with a lot of young people on the internet. And so they had a really cool studio in Hollywood on DeLongpre, and that was great to go in there. And it was just kind of this open concept, exactly how you would think like a tech company is run. And everyone's walking around with cameras and making little videos. And hey, since you're here, can you be in this? And it was just really cool. And then they moved over to Siren Studios on Sunset, and that was awesome. They kind of had a bigger operation there going. So yeah, for a good, I would say like 5 to 8 years or so, I would just every now and then go in and be in a video or two or a series, and it was a lot of fun. It was kind of a I've done a lot of improv. I went to improv school and whatnot, and this was another way that I can kind of hone that craft and work with young people who are like-minded, and that was a very, very cool experience. I really cherish my time doing some work there.
That's super cool. And I think something that's so unique about acting is like as a career, there's no one cut way that like an actor makes it happen. Like you never know. And that I feel like your experience at BuzzFeed is a little bit out of the norm for like you think of like you just moved to LA and you just go on like you get an agent and you just go on auditions for film and television. And it's so cool. There really are like once you're in the city and you're making relationships and you're really like fostering those connections, there's so many different ways that you can like get experience and get your name out there and even just like have fun creating stuff. And it sounds like it was so epic and more of like an improv style, like what you were saying, which is so fun. I love that.
No, it sounds collaborative too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
How like where like everyone kind of like has their own thing, and like because improv is like that, so that's awesome.
It was very cool. I mean, everyone who worked there were so great, and that was one of the aspects of it that I really enjoyed was the collaborative nature of doing work there. Because I wasn't a full-time employee there. I would get brought in as an actor to do these videos, but it's like we were all around the same age. Everyone trusted each other. You're being brought in because you have something that they enjoy or they want on their video. And so it was definitely a confidence booster as well. And I think because they had so much flexibility in what they could do, it made you a little looser. And especially when it comes to improv, you want to be loose. You don't want to try to play the joke too much. You really just want to listen and respond and tell the truth. And you got to be relaxed in order to do that. So like I said, it was an incubator of talent. A lot of incredible talent came out of BuzzFeed during those years, and I was very blessed to at least just have witnessed it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess that leads us into our masterclass moment segment, right?
Yeah.
So
Take it away,
let's
Em.
yeah, so okay, so we're gonna get into Andor now a little bit. So like, what was the audition process like, and was it different from other auditions? And did you know that it was for a Star Wars show?
So actually, Tony wrote me the role, which was unbelievable. And it was truly a dream come true. And it was definitely a pinch yourself moment. But I knew what it was for, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't. I was trying to fill in the blanks, but until until you got the sides for it, you didn't really know exactly what it was going to be or what your setting was going to be and whatnot. And so yes, it was this moment of, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening," but it was also like, "What is this gonna look like when it happens?" And you don't really know what it's gonna look like until you get there. Um, and every step of the way I don't know, your mind is just blown every step of the way.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
wild.
Yeah,
Wow. So
yeah.
he wrote you the role? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was really amazing. I mean, I didn't even know what the name of the character was until I got the sides for it, and, it's Star Wars, so you're not a lot of the parts on Star Wars, you're given your scenes, right? So you don't necessarily know exactly what's going on in the other scenes, but for our scenes, it didn't really matter what was going on outside of our world because we were trapped and we kind of had our own thing going on. And so you kinda got it right away when you're reading it. You're like, "Oh, okay, we're in our own world right now, literally and figuratively, and we're trying to deal with where we're at in this moment." So it kinda helped ground you, um, into our scenes, if you will. Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. So, oh my gosh, what is that like? Speaking of just like masterclass moments and acting techniques, what is that like when you don't have the rest of the script and like you are saying you only have so much context? Is that free license for you to just kind of run with your imagination and bring everything you can to the role? Like how does that work?
So it's a very collaborative experience. So we were lucky enough to be able to do rehearsals for a week before we stepped on the set. And there are 15 of us. Every other actor is so talented, so incredible. And so you're kind of building this thing together, right? As an actor, you get your scenes, you get your scripts, and you receive building blocks for who your character is, right? And so you know all of these little nuggets about yourself, but you still have to fully form them into a three-dimensional person. And so you use the building blocks given to you. You kind of create some of your own building blocks, or at least just fill in the blanks. But for us, it was really cool that we got to do that together as a team because the way our scenes are set up is, we've been together for who knows how long, right? And we've just crash landed here, and how long have we been here? And we're tired, and we're hungry, and so we have to contextualize all that. And so it was really important to do that together, so we can figure out our relationships with each other, figure out with our relationships with people who aren't even in the scenes. And so that was one of the most fulfilling weeks I've ever had in my career, to be able to just kind of build this thing with, 14 strangers. And by the end of it, I mean, not to sound cliche, but we were family. We like, and we all loved each other. It was such a cool experience.
Yeah, that's
What you guys what kind of like did you guys play any games or like do anything to like build those connections?
Yes. So we did improv, of course, and that was really it was really cool to first do improv to kind of see what everyone brings to the table and what everyone's vibe is as a performer and as an actor. And then we would kind of settle into our characters in those improv scenes. So it was like, our we worked with a dramaturg in London, and that person she was throwing out, scenarios and settings and whatnot. And so we would be our characters within those scenes, and it would really help us figure out who we are in these moments. But on top of that, have you ever heard of the game Werewolf? It's like a party game. It's similar to there's Mafia as well. That's a very similar game, but um, everyone kind of closes their eyes, and then around a circle, you're told who is the werewolf, as in who is the killer, who is the detective, who are the village people. So you have all these you have all these parts in the game, right? And slowly but surely throughout the game, every night you go to sleep, you close your eyes, and a werewolf kills another person. You wake up and you're told who died. And by the end of the game, you want to try to guess who the werewolf is, right? That was a really cool game to play while getting to know other actors because you're kind of seeing, okay, who's got tricks up their sleeves? You know, who's got a good poker face? Who can I jive with? You know, and so that was a lot of fun. And by the end of the week, you know, like I said, we really felt like family and we felt like we really knew all of each other. And then we showed up to set on Monday and everything was contextualized. We just knew it. We showed up to set and ready to do our actual lines, and we know what everything means. We know who means what to me, you know? And so, man, what a cool experience that was.
Oh, that's so cool. That
Yeah.
is so interesting. I would have never guessed that that was the process for this in, like, a million years. Um,
Yeah.
kind of not to throw you off or, give you a throwback, but was there anything specific from your time on Never Have I Ever that you brought into this role that you played on Andor?
I don't know if I'd say, from my role, but I think from my experience on set. So, you know, I don't know if any Trent came with me, but the Ben who was there on set of Never Have I Ever, you know, I was very lucky to be on that set. It was a very respectful set. Everyone was very positive, even if the hours were long or whatnot, and but everyone stayed positive and everyone stayed happy to be there. And I think I try to carry that same energy with me onto every set that I go on to. I think that sets are just they're already so exciting and so much fun, and we're doing what we love, and everyone's aware of that. But if you show up with a good attitude and ready to kind of do anything, especially for something like Andor. I mean, Andor is the scenes that we were shooting were physically demanding. They were difficult. You know, we're muddy, we're dirty, it rained, and um, but if you know that you're going into it and everyone's in this together, we're all in this together, and we're ready to have fun together, then that's gonna come across on screen, and I think it did. And, I will say the other thing that was really cool is they built this 360 set outside. All None of that was green screen. That was all real. And so, you know, that was kind of a little ways away from base camp. So we didn't get to hang out in our trailers in between takes and in between scenes, and that made everything even better because you're just hanging out with your cast the whole time. It's such a communal experience as opposed
Yeah.
to going off in your trailer and having your snack or, you know, staying warm or whatever. No, we're enduring the elements. We're together. We're having fun. You know, it felt like
Yeah.
camp the whole time. The whole time it felt like camp. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
or,
Did
mean,
like
they?
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, I was
no,
gonna
no, it
say,
just
did they? Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
no, go, go.
No, I was gonna say, did they make the weather, or was the weather real?
Yeah, no, no, no. So we had a rain machine. We had a rain machine for a couple of days, a couple of nights, really. We were shooting overnights at that point. And
Wow.
so it was wet. It was
Dang.
very,
Was it
very, it's a
heated?
lot of water. No,
Was it
no, no,
no.
no.
Oh,
We
no.
did shoot, you know, we did shoot in, so we shot outside of London. We shot in the summer. And so luckily the temperature was not, we were really lucky. The two nights that we had a rain machine, it was warm at night. So that was nice. Um, we also had, you know, under your clothes, you can put on this kind of waterproof, you know, rubber, really tight, you know, tight clothes on underneath that they're almost like rubber long johns. And you kind of like hear yourself as you're walking. It's like, you know, and the first night, I feel like I was the only one who put them on, and everyone's like, "Ah, I didn't put those on." And then by hour 6, everyone's like, "Man, I wish I put on the," you know. And so next night we're all like, you know, walking walking from our trailers, and uh, oh man, it's so much fun. Like even if it's wet, even if it's raining, you're working on Star Wars. Like it's no one had a bad attitude. Are you kidding me? Everyone
Yeah.
was so happy to be there.
It's so fun. It sounds like you said you love Survivor, so it's like it kind of gives Survivor vibes, right? Kind of on a reality show, who can endure this the longest, but it's so much fun. I love that. What a cool experience.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, so this is a very different role than what we've seen you in the past. So like, what is like, how do you like get into like the Barty mindset compared to a character like Trent? Like, what do you have to do for that?
You know, it's interesting. For me, like every actor has a process, right? But I think you just stick to the process that you know. And I think that with any character, whether it's dark or it's bright or it's funny or it's dramatic, you're in your scenes and you're in your elements and you are in your circumstances, right? And you have a POV. And so I approach every character the same way, and then the results might be different. But for someone like this character, you know, right off the bat, I already knew the most important things to me were that he's tired, he's hungry, he's confused. And another big part of the script that jumped out on the page to me was that he mentions his brother. And so a lot of the character that I built was, you know, around his brother and what happened to his brother, and some people have different opinions about what happened to his brother than I might. So, um, that was kind of a big jumping off point when it came to, you know, doing our rehearsals that week, and we were all kind of figuring out who we were. That was a major part of my character for myself, and so look, a big thing, and I learned this from studying at the Groundlings, is every character has to have POV, right? Every character has to be a three-dimensional person. And so, like I said, I approach every character the same way, but Barty just by nature is different because his circumstances are so grave and they're so desperate. And he's surrounded by people, a lot of people that he might disagree with, and that's so different from Trent. You know, Trent's got Paxton, man, and Trent's just kind of like he'll go anywhere Paxton goes to, and then he gets a girlfriend, and then he's all about his girlfriend. You know, Trent's kind of a hype man of a character, whereas Barty wants to be a leader. Barty I think he saw his brother as a leader and he looked up to that. And so once our leader is gone and we don't know where she or he is, and Barty wants to be that guy, and he's a little messy, and but he's still gonna try.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I quit.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
he was a good no, he was a good character. I enjoyed watching him.
Thank you. Thank you. He
I
was
was
fun. He was fun to, you know, sink my teeth into.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say when you say just for the aspiring actors watching, and I know this could be like a super in-depth question, but just I guess what comes to mind as far as like when you say every character needs to be dimensional and have their POV, would you equate that to each character needs to have make their choices and make strong choices? Would you almost say that those things are interchangeable, or do you not think of those things in the same way, those two concepts?
That's a good question. I would for me specifically, I think they're not entirely interchangeable because I think a lot of choices comes when you're in the scene or when you're doing an audition, and you're trying to fill in some blanks, and I feel like that's kind of where the actual choices come into. But when you're doing character work, it's all foundational. It's almost you're reading the script, and that's a jumping off point. But when you're doing the work on the character, you know, it's Shakespearean, right? Like when you're studying Shakespeare, what you're doing is you're truly breaking everything down and understanding the meaning behind it. And that's what you have to do with characters. And you have to break them down and figure out why they say the things that they say, why they sound the way that they sound, why they feel the things that they feel. So I think when I talk about being three dimensional, you know, I think here's a great example. I like to tell people that if you want to figure out exactly who a character is, you got to get them to the point where you can take that character and you could put them in any scene and anything, and you can figure out how they'll act in that scene. You know what I mean? Trent doesn't belong in The Godfather, but if I plucked out Trent and just threw him in The Godfather, I think I know how he would act during that. You know?
Yeah,
So it's like
totally.
even though these characters don't belong in all of those scenes, I think it's just it's the same way as knowing someone like the back of your hand in real life, knowing your loved
Yeah.
one, a partner, a best friend, like they have
Yes.
to be that best friend to you. You have to kind of know everything about them. So that's what
Yeah.
I mean by three-dimensional. They just have to be as real as can be.
That's so good. Oh my gosh. That's so good. That's so good. Okay, and we are having so much fun. We're just gonna have to skip questions. So I'm just
Oh yeah,
trying I'm
whatever,
just gonna have to
whatever. Yeah.
jump around. So let's skip to behind the scenes really quick. We weren't
Yeah.
even finished with masterclass on this, but here we are. So a lot of times we ask actors like, where were you when you found out you got the role? But in this case, this role was written for you. So where
Yeah.
were you when you found out that you had a role written for you in such an iconic franchise, really?
I was having brunch and I walked out and I took the call and it was really it was really nice because I was actually having brunch at a place where I was at when I found out that I didn't get a role one time. And so then I was at that same place and then I found out that I got a role. So it was kind of like I got it back. Like I took it back. And so yeah, it was nice. I feel like so much of my life is spent on the phone, so, it's nice to drive. It's nice to drive by that place. It's in Hollywood. It's nice to drive by that place and be like, "That's where I got that phone call," you know?
That is so cool. Oh my gosh. And not
Yeah.
even that you just like booked something, but that you were casually, written in. So
Yeah.
that's epic. I love that.
Yeah,
Um
and what is it like now that you're a part of Star Wars? What's that like for you? Like that must be
It's incredible. I grew up a Star Wars fan. My he's gonna love that I'm talking about this, but my dad loves Star Wars. He is a huge Star Wars fan, so this is like really major for him too. But I grew up watching the original Star Wars with my dad, and um, growing up, I had an older sister, so the only toys I really played with were either Barbies or Star Wars toys. Like the Star Wars toys were my toys, and I would play with Barbies with my sister. And she really kind of controlled the remote for the most part. So I was watching, Princess Diaries and like Freaky Friday and stuff.
the
But
best.
I yeah, yeah, exactly. The classics. But
Yeah.
I grew up watching Star Wars, and so to be a part of the universe now is I don't know, it almost still doesn't feel real. But I think with a franchise like Star Wars, what I've found has been really cool is seeing the fans online, they watch Star Wars like it's this real living, breathing thing because it is. And I think they watch the characters for the characters and they watch the story for the story and the lore has just been built out and built out and built out. And so, it's gonna sound cliche, but Star Wars kind of is this real story in a galaxy far, far away. Like it feels like it's almost we are getting glimpses of this thing that's actually happening. It kind of feels that way. And that's how the fans make it feel. And I think one of the greatest parts about doing this is the fact that, you know, entertainment brings fans joy and you want to entertain and you want to bring a little light to the darkness and no pun intended because this is a Star Wars reference. But I think just the fact that there are so many people who love these stories and now to be a part of one of them is pretty incredible.
yeah, and you've got your own Wikipedia now, like your own page.
I
That's
gotta
really
look.
cool.
I got a Wikipedia. I had like I didn't even know I would have a Wikipedia one day, but I do, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah, and
crazy.
there were like some things that I was like, "Wait. Oh, okay." I was like it took me a minute like I had to like read it through and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That happened."
Yeah. It's also so cool because our scenes specifically, Andor is prestigious. Andor is some of the best writing out there, truly. And and what a cool world within the world to be a part of. I think Tony's point to our scenes was that rebellion isn't always clean. A lot of the time it's very messy and especially in the beginning of a rebellion and people are, we're all for the same cause, but sometimes people aren't doing it as well as others, or they're not as mobilized, and so it was cool to be a part of the messy faction of the rebellion. It shows people that sometimes sometimes it doesn't work out, but you try and try again until it does.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was there anything like funny behind the scenes moments that happened that obviously the camera wasn't rolling, or maybe it was, but
Yeah.
just something that you remember that was just a good old fashioned fun moment?
Uh, you know, I just the ship in general, we got to shoot. They built that TIE Avenger, like that was all just to scale. That was a real ship. And I think the moment we got down to set, it's just it w they were we were all kids in a candy store. Everyone wanted to go into the Thai Avenger. Everyone wanted to go into it and see this real thing, and I just think the childlike wonder that we all had when we got down there, and like I said, it was a 360 set and everything was real, and so that helped us get into character as well. You get down there and you're like, "Oh, I'm actually on this planet. I am truly right here. I'm not in the suburbs of London. Like, I am on this planet, and there's a ship, and there's another ship, and there are plants, and there's mud, and, um, I don't know, I
So
just remember
cool.
I remember laughing a lot when we got down there. I think everyone was like, "What? This is insane."
Wow. Did
Yeah.
anybody capture your reactions at all? Like just, like filmed it or anything? Because that's just so epic.
I have to say no because very strict on
Oh, I
filming
bet.
things behind the scenes, and so we all followed the rules. We all follow the rules. But it's
Okay,
seared into
good.
my memory. It's seared into
Oh,
my memory.
yeah. That's so fun, and I'm sure so fun too to, like, come back and tell your wife about, right? Because it's like, how do you
Yeah.
explain those moments to the people that, like, you love and, like, your best friends and your family? Like, it's almost, like, inexplainable a little bit, so, that's so fun that you got to have that experience.
It was incredible, and I also just have to give a very, very special shout out to Ari Kleiman who directed our scenes, and Diego, of course, Diego Luna, who is just so gracious and such a generous performer, especially with all these kind of just 15 random people coming onto his set, to do all these insane scenes with him. But Diego and Ari really they really let us feel like we're a part of this too, and this is ours too, and that's how it can come across on screen like it did. And so yeah, working with those two, it was an actual dream, and everything was very positive, and everything was very they were, I don't know, they really let us have fun with it. And I think you could tell. I think it was just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell. Yeah, I was like, I want to be there. It's like playing like cops and robbers, or like one of the one, or like capture the flag. It was like one of those type of
Yeah,
things.
with Star Wars blasters, which was like insane that
Yeah.
we got, like it was just so cool. And so it was great. The whole experience was second to none. It was the coolest experience I've ever had.
Okay, this has been like the most extraordinary chat ever. Thank you so much for giving us the most epic behind the scenes look into Andor. I mean, I'm pretty blown away. This was so much fun. So thank you. Anything you want to leave the fans with that are listening, and also please share with them all of your social media handles so they can make sure. I'm sure they're already following you, but just in case, yeah, give yourself a shout out so everybody can go support.
Yeah, my handle's at Ben A Norris, and you can find me on Instagram. And but if there's anything I want to tell the fans out there, if you haven't already, watch Andor, because it is an incredible show, and it's so well written, and it's so important, and it's so intense but heartfelt. And there's only 2 seasons, and so you have no excuse. You have absolutely no excuse. And it's one of the it's truly, it's gonna go down as one of the greats, and I can't wait for everyone see what's to come on the show.
Thank you to everybody who tuned in to listen or who's watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. You can watch the full episode always on YouTube, or you can stream us wherever you stream your podcast. And don't forget, if you also want to become an actor and you really want to get your career started, go to the link in our bio on Instagram, Young and Bag, and get our How to Get an Agent guide, which breaks down the exact steps on how to get an agent for free. Thank you so much, Benjamin, for joining us, and we will catch you guys on the next one.